Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Marjolein, but you can also call me Maddie. And today I will be showing a time-lapse of a painting of my character Curri. And Curri isn't as old as Daniel, but he is a special little guy. And well, Curri is his real name. He used to be called Goofball all the time, and I thought, well, he needed a better name, so Curri it was. But before we get into naming and things like that, I will begin at the beginning, and that will begin in the year of 2011 or 12. I was at college at the time. I had the education of communication and multimedia design at the NHL University, and we had to pick minors each year. The first year was basically a taste of all kinds of projects like concepts, thinking of commercials, game making, things like that. But in the second year it got really interesting, and the third year and the fourth year. The second year you had to pick minors. The third year you had to pick a minor and an internship. And the last year you had to pick a minor and, well, do your graduation project. So, and it was divided in blocks of a half a school year. So in the third year I decided I wanted to go to the minor concepting. And you might think it's like creating ideas all day, but it was more than that. You could create ideas all day if you wanted, but you could also work on an animation project, or you could work on a movie project, game project, anything you could think of. Also the things you wouldn't expect with a multimedia education right away, but it was possible there. And in my second year I had to work in groups, and usually that's what you had to do at the minors, working in groups. But after those two minors I was kind of tired of it for a bit. I needed some time to charge myself, even longer than the holidays. And I was given the chance at the minor concepting. I heard the rules changed and you have to work in groups right now, but at those times it was no problem at all, and it saved me. Concepting was rather popular at that time. I wasn't sure if I would get in, because we had a system you had to wait in some sort of digital line and pick your minor, and you had to make your first choice, your second choice, your third choice, things like that. Concepting usually was full in no time, but luckily I was on time that day and I was quite early in the line, so I was allowed to do concepting. They really like to use different development tools for yourself, so to discover yourself basically. At the beginning, in the first week, I was like, what is going on? And more people had that. But after a while, I got used to it and I thought it was really relaxing, and you could use that method to think of a project. So that's what I did. And the method was, you have 12 talents and you have a long list of different descriptions or different words basically that can tell you more about yourself. So you had to pick 12 talents, and I am not quite sure of the complete list, but I had an artist, of course. I had an earth seeker, and that's basically one who stands on the ground and is all about logic, things like that. Someone, what was it again? I think someone who looks for quiet and peace, so I need my breaks and I need some alone time at a certain moment. So I picked quite a few, 12 to be exactly, because that was the challenge. And I wanted to create my own project, and I was thinking, well, what do I want to do? I wasn't sure. Then it hit me. I could make characters out of my talents and use those for my animation project. So that's what I did. And basically I created a lab environment, and a few of my characters, or aka talents, lived there, and they were going to escape. So that was my story. I didn't quite finish the whole animation. It was more a concept which fits the minor basically, and it gave me a lot of energy, and it made me really happy that I was able to do that project of my own. The minor after that, because I couldn't find an internship on time for the third year, I did concepting again, and it was so relaxing for me. So that character, there was a main character in the animation that I wanted to make, and that was the Quiet Seeker. It was a guy, because I tend to make a lot of guy characters, and he had black hair. He was a bit shaven on the back of his head, so you could see some kind of coat. He was a big guy, and he was Russian, because I was a big fan of Italia at the time. And what more? I think he had grayish eyes, and he wore a terrific green hospital gown, basically, with some pants underneath it, so he wasn't completely bare there. So yeah, that was basically the start of my lab character and things like that. So I finished the projects, and after that I drew them for a bit longer. So if you look at my sketchbooks, you see him sometimes. But just like the other characters I have, there is a period I draw them quite a lot. And after a while, they just disappear from the pages, or they appear sometimes for a bit. So he was put back, and at a certain point in 2018, I didn't revisit the project, but I still like the idea of laboratoria and persons created in labs, things like that. It's really science fiction, and really, well, is it? I don't know. And it really tickles my interest. So I drew a little guy with a big head, buck teeth, and big eyes, which was fun to do. I thought, hey, that's really cute. So I started to draw him more and more. He doesn't look like the current Curri. He didn't have a name at the time. He was just Goofball, and he was goofy, and I did some sketches of him and tried to come up with things that would fit him, like a big coat and helmets, and I was working on the hair, eyes. He first had a button nose. It looked cute, but at a certain time his eyes grew bigger and there wasn't that much room for the nose. So after a bit of experimenting, I got rid of it. So yay, bye bye nose. And it was in 2000, I think April 2018. And then there were the first sketches of him. And it went up a bit. I drew him more and more, and at a certain point I drew him a bit less. But then in October 2018, during Inktober, I started to draw him more. So, not posting him on my Instagram or other channels, but I started to draw him more. I squashed him a little bit because I wanted him to be a bit cuter. From April 2018 till January 2019, February, March, he shrunk. So he became the cute little thing you can see on the drawing. First it was only him. Usually when I draw a character, slowly but surely more things or humans appear around it. So first it was the goofball, Curri. Then I decided to place him in a world which was, well, almost dead because of the nuclear bombs, and the environment was just a waste. No living trees, no humans around, so it was a wasteland. He was thrown into a wasteland because I'm so kind for my characters. With the wasteland, I thought, well, what can happen more? Because I like a good story, and if you just put someone alone in the wasteland with no companions or any drama, it gets boring quite easily. So I decided to, well, what's his role? Does he have powers? Does he? And I came up with a story like he's some sort of chosen one, and he has electrical powers. So I kept brainstorming and thinking, and at a certain moment I decided to draw, well, what's the threat? It's a wasteland, and there were nuclear bombs, so people can't live that long there. So what about robots? Special robots, of course, because if you have seen the series Chernobyl, you need quite strong robots who can handle a bit of radiation. Well, depends on how strong the radiation is. Oh well. So robots appeared, and first they were very nasty and ugly creatures, basically. But then I wanted to give him some sort of companion. Not in the human way, because I thought it was quite interesting that he had to survive alone there. But I wanted to give something that could comfort him and could help him a bit. So I thought of a medical robot. A cute, round, cute little thing in which he could sleep, who could make cute noises, give him like head bumps like a cat, because cats are amazing. Things like that. So that's the thing where he's riding on. And at first I was thinking like, how is that thing going to move through the wasteland? And I looked at some pictures, and you have those military robots which can walk. And I thought, that's cool, and you can step over rubble and things like that. So I gave him really ugly little legs. I'm quite sure that wouldn't work very decently. So after some sketching, I decided, well, let's give him some special wheels, like tanks and things like that. So he can just ride over it like, I am not afraid of those rocks. Brr. So that was the introduction of my little guy, my little robot guy. But I wanted more story. So he starts his adventures somewhere in a laboratory. There used to be people working at that lab, but for some reason they had to abandon it, and they had to abandon it in a hurry. So there was no time to rescue the kids who were still in the test tubes. But there was only one child in a test tube, and that was Curri, because he is very emotional, I think, is the word I would like to use. He can burst out in very intense emotions. He can be very happy, very sad, very angry. He doesn't know how to hold back, and he wasn't learned to hold back. So yeah, he can't really do anything about it, but that makes him so much fun to draw, because you can go mayhem with the emotions. So they basically raised children to use for wars. So children with special powers who were really sneaky, would be very calm, very steady, and could handle the radiation of the wasteland. So the doctors and the caretakers, they had to dress up quite much in their suits, and the children just could walk around and do their thing. But basically they got combat training, some basic knowledge, things like that. And the children were, well, I think they were more adults. They were sent out into the wasteland to take back territory and defend anything at all. So you can meet them later in the story. I drew some sketches of the Doctor. You can see him here because he isn't in the picture right now, and I'm not quite sure how the story will end. Still thinking of it in my head. I'm really great at keeping stories in my head and keep them there. I'm working on it, sometimes trying to write the stories down on the paper so I can read it back and say, well, that sucks ass. Or say, hey, that's not too bad. But at the moment, Curri's story isn't written out completely. About the illustration, well, it's almost finished actually, and you can see him sitting on his fabulous little medical robot, so round, so cute, and they are riding through a village. It used to be a village, but due to the war, the bombs, the radiation, it's abandoned and it's empty. You see only a couple of walls still standing, and nature is returning slowly but surely. Because I think that's really interesting that even after a big disaster, nature tends to come back first. Also, inspiration from Chernobyl. The story, I got inspiration from multiple things, laboratories, the nuclear disaster of Chernobyl, because oh man, that was heavy. Yike. So, in short, the inspiration for my piece. Anyhow, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.